Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. It is Victor Avila. He, of course, supervisory special agent with ICE, retired now. VictorAvilaSpeaks.com is his website. He's an author, survived a gun battle with a drug cartel in Mexico. Victor, how are you, man? Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Joe. Well, it's still a little shaken up. Let me tell you, it's a lot to take in because of my background and everything that I've gone through. It definitely is very personal to me, and it's more than a shock and really a sign of the times of where we're at in our country.
Left or right doesn't matter. This is the United States of America. That's a former president. It's the current presumptive nominee for president. He'll be the actual nominee in a few days. And the man was shot in the ear, and but for the grace of God, he turned his head at the last second. But I want to break down your ballistics knowledge, your safety and security knowledge, your ability to understand a scenario like that knowledge. Let's just get into all of that, because what I'm to believe is that some skinny 20-year-old kid with a rifle puts a ladder on the side of an ag building in Pennsylvania, gets on top of it, is seen by several witnesses who tell law enforcement and the Secret Service, who do nothing about it, and he gets off 4, 5, 6 shots before the Secret Service takes him out. Now, Victor, maybe I don't get it, but wouldn't we make sure that any rooftop is secured? Wouldn't we make sure that there's a perimeter? This guy was like 130 yards away. Wouldn't we make sure that because anybody can take that shot, even if you're not very good, and get close? What was supposed to happen in setting up in making sure the former president was safe before he walks out?
Well, there's a lot of unanswered questions here, and I know usually when I come on your show, I talk about border, but today I'm talking to you as a special agent, as a trained criminal investigator that has been trained at the academy and has gone through this. And the first 10 weeks of my academy was half of the class was Secret Service, and the other half was HSI special
Right.
agents. And so I want people to understand. I want this is what my personal feeling about what's going on, and I do believe this is a catastrophic failure on the side of the Secret Service. And you're going to hear a lot of blame game now. Well, it wasn't actually Secret Service. It was the locals. It was HSI that was actually present there as well. But that happens all the time. Every time the Secret Service is present, there will always, 100%, always be state and locals, and sometimes even other federal agencies, in this case, HSI agents that are cross-designated, that are actually trained to work with Secret Service, because obviously Secret Service doesn't have all the entire personnel, and so they do
Right.
depend a lot on the state and locals and other agencies to join them. I did that in my career, especially in Mexico. Many times I joined in with Secret Service for the Secretary of Homeland Security and other people coming into the country, and required high levels of security. And so for me, this is everything that you described to me is unheard of. This is what I'll tell you as my personal feeling as a retired special agent, that there was a hesitation here by Secret Service.
Yes.
I think they knew he was on there. They had the shot to take him out, and they didn't do it. And as you know, I went through this. I took bullets. My partner was assassinated next to me. And I think there was a sense of either two things. You have either an level of incompetence that I don't think we could kind of describe at this point, or there's something going on that's possibly deliberate here. It's got to be one or the other, because I do believe that the Secret Service had them, identified them, and they could have taken them out, and they didn't, and they hesitated until after he took those shots.
I want to get into that. Victor is an expert. As you said, you were in charge of or part of teams that kept dignitaries secure and safe as they traveled to Mexico. Former federal agent. Go to VictorAvilaSpeaks.com. That's his website. Get his book as well. So I'm an untrained eye. You are a trained eye. So add to what I'm about to say. What I saw from all the video that we've seen is several people with their own cell phone cameras show this guy alive on top of the roof. And they're not saying he's got a gun, but some did see him with a gun. But they're saying there's a guy on the roof. Hey, law enforcement, there's a guy on the roof. Hey, Secret Service, there's a guy on the roof. They kept saying it. And then let's talk about that sniper that you just talked about that you feel hesitated. We see the guy pointing exactly that direction. When the shots start being fired from the, we're told it's a rifle that the shooter had. The sniper doesn't have to turn much to take him out. So, Victor, it appears as though if he's a trained individual like you are, he should have seen that guy on the roof. And if he does see him and doesn't take him out, Don't you at least send a team there? There's a guy on the roof. Don't let Trump come out yet. What do you think is going on at that moment? Because we all see the guy dressed in black who ended up killing the shooter. But he doesn't move his gun much. He must have seen him, or he was already facing the right direction, right?
They definitely saw them. And I'm going to tell you something that I think happened here. I think there was a sense of denial. And I went through this through my shooting. It's almost kind of, even though people saw him, there's a sense of denial that you don't want to accept that this is actually happening in real time. Wait a minute, there's a guy on the roof with with a rifle pointing
Right.
towards the president. It's almost kind of unbelievable. And but it's not an excuse. It's unacceptable that I think that the threat is recognized and you take out the threat. Now, if you look at what happened, they immediately shot him. It wasn't like shots were fired. Where did they come from? Let's look at the possible shooter. What direction? No, took the whatever 4 or 5 shots he took, and
Right.
then immediately was eliminated. And that threat was eliminated. That means that they had him identified, and they had seen him in his sights. They had him. They knew he was there. And there's a speculation of whether he was ordered to stand down and not take the shot. Listen, as an agent, you get to the point where your job is to protect the president of the United States, or former president, the candidate here, and it doesn't matter what anybody tells you at this point. You
Right.
have to protect, and not just them. Lives were lost here, and other people were shot as well.
Victor Avila Speaks is the website. It's Victor Avila. So let's break this down. I don't know what a perimeter should be. Is there a set amount of space that has to be completely safe and secure before the former president or another dignitary walks out on stage to give a speech? Again, this guy's within 120, 130 yards or meters. It depends on who you listen to. And the guy has a shot and clearly hits the president in the ear, kills a man behind him, injures severely 2 others. What should the perimeter have been? I would imagine that if there's a place where the president's going to speak, an open air place like this, you're going to make sure nobody's on the rooftop anywhere. So what should it have been? Is 120, 130 within a perimeter that you would normally set?
I'll put it to you this way. I hold the world record for the longest pistol shot
Right.
at 2,010 yards.
Wow.
With a pistol and a device that I used, the company USA One Shot, a stabilizer. At 2,010 yards, I was able to hit a 36 by 36 inch target. 130, 150 yards, whatever it was, is super close. We're talking about extremely close. Even when you talk about perimeter in the law enforcement world, there's different perimeters. You've got the close perimeters, and you've got different phases of perimeters until you get to the ones where they're beyond reach, right? Well, this is way, way inside of that perimeter that apparently it was cleared. But just because it was cleared one time in the roof the day before, that doesn't mean that it's no longer a threat. It has to continue to be looked at throughout the event.
Victor, I don't want to speak out of turn. When I look at that rooftop, I would assume Secret Service would be on it. I mean, that is a great vantage point to make sure that President Trump is safe. Why wouldn't we have? Is that just me making it up? Shouldn't somebody have been on there? Because if you're on there, nobody else can get on there.
Well, and let's say even if we don't have a personnel or an actual person on there, well, you have someone around there not to access the roof to begin with. That's how you check these areas. The access to them, right? So maybe no one's on the roof, but no one has access to get to the roof, especially when this event is going to take place or about to start. That's how the advance team does. Remember, Secret Service didn't show up that morning. Secret Service sends an advance team to every single location of all these dignitaries of where they're going to go in advance. Now, I'll tell you this, these advanced teams, they used to be where they would go 1 or 2 or 3 weeks in advance, but because they've been shorthanded, they're sending them sometimes only 3 days in advance. And that really, really shortens their time to do that special analysis of the perimeter and safety perimeter of the entire area. Here, I'm not sure when Secret Service arrived and what the advance team, what day they arrived, but I promise you this, they were not there that day. They went there before, cleared the area. It was very easy to clear that, especially that building, because it's in the direct sight of the speakers at that point, including President Trump. And for them to then ignore what was cleared is what's in question here.
Yeah, former federal agent Victor Avila, great friend of mine, expert marksman. He knows all about these things. Let me ask you something. You might be comfortable talking about it. You might not be. but I question who was guarding him on Saturday. And here's what I mean. I've stood next to President Trump. He's got about an inch and a half on me, so he must be 6'2", 6'2 and a half. You've got 3 or 4 women that are 5'5", 5'6", guarding him. They clearly can't guard his head as he's standing. And in fact, they appear to be scrambling a bit. They might be very, very good at their jobs. But Victor, am I out of my mind when I say I want a bunch of 6'5" guys surrounding a man that big when he's in an open air place where he can be an easy target? Is there something to be said of the size of the Secret Service agents that are guarding people?
Yeah, absolutely. Size, training, all of the above. I have a lot of stories that I could share with you. And yes, we could talk about female agents. It's important to talk about male. There's some male agents that cannot be Secret Service agents, no matter their size. They're 6'5", they just can't do it. They can't shoot a gun, or for whatever reason, they can't be. So it goes both ways here. But the chaos that happened, and so let's go past the shooting. Once President down is down, and the chaos, I could not believe the amount of time that President Trump was still on that stage, and the amount of time that they took him to take him into that Suburban. I think that Suburban was really far. I don't know why it didn't back up to get him closer. I'm thinking threat, right? And because a lot of people are saying the excuse, well, they're saying that the threat is down. Well, good. The role of the Secret Service is to ignore, believe it or not, ignore the threat. Even if bullets were still flying, their role is to protect the protectee, which is President Trump in this case, is to cover him. And yes, here's another thing. A lot of the times, these Secret Service agents do not train together. They sometimes are brought together at the very last minute at briefing. Sometimes the briefing is a couple of days before. When I jumped in briefings in Mexico in Secret Service, everybody had a role. And I'm going to tell you, Secret Service runs the show. I don't care if it's local police involved and everybody, sheriff and HSI and other agencies. It's Secret Services. The agents are the ones that run the operation. They're the ones that set the roles of everyone, of where they're going to be and what they're going to be doing and what location they're going to be at. And so to me, I saw chaos. They had absolutely, it almost looked like they had no training and they were just kind of on the fly.
Well, Victor, look, I'm not going to be as nice as you. When it happened, you hear a female agent saying, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" How is that the question? Do they not go through these scenarios over and over and over again so it's ingrained in their head? Should something happen, God forbid, this is what we do. Somebody yelling, what are we doing? I don't get it.
That's the last thing. That's the last thing you want to hear. What you want to hear, believe it or not, is fight. Is fight back.
Yes.
Is protect the president, protect whoever it is that you're protecting, and do your role and do it to the best of your ability, because that's your job. As a matter of fact, it might be give up your life, because that's what you signed up to do, is to protect your life for that of the person that you're protecting. And so that's not questioning what you're supposed to be doing and where to go and what to do next, especially when the bullets start flying. I'm telling you, I went through this, and you go through a lot of different stages of fight, flight, and freeze. Secret Service agents have a special training for them to be trained to fight, not to freeze, not to flight, but to actually protect and take those bullets on behalf of whoever they're protecting. And I didn't see that on Saturday.
Our friend Dan Bongino has been reporting, he's a former Secret Service agent, that the Trump campaign had been requesting more Secret Service coverage and that they were denied. That's according to Dan. From what you saw on that video, from what we all saw on that video, was there sufficient Secret Service there? Clearly, they didn't check the rooftop. Clearly, there was not a drone in the air that saw this guy. As you said, maybe the sniper that takes out the bad guy hesitated when he shouldn't have, if he did in fact see him, and he appears to be looking that way. But just on sheer numbers, was there enough there?
I actually believe that it has nothing to do with the numbers. I think it has to do with the type of personnel and who the personnel was that was assigned to these special. You have yes, like I said, you have special perimeters, right? And you have special people that have special roles, especially the ones that are very, very close to the protectee. And so I think they had enough personnel. I think they had enough guns and enough law enforcement capacity that you saw the SWAT team come in right away after. So they were around there. They're surrounded. And there's many others that you don't see that are in plain clothes, that are not wearing a suit. By the way, the ones wearing the suit have a lot of armor, have a lot of weapons underneath that, just in
Yes.
case people didn't know. They even carry submachine guns, some carry the MP5. They carry a lot of other stuff that you just see a suit, and that's the way they're covered. But nevertheless, I don't think it's a number, the question of number here. It's the question of why these individuals were placed in these
Yes.
positions.
It's Victor Avila. Victor, your expertise is always incredible, my man. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for loving America. And thank you for giving us this update. As we find out more information in the investigation in the coming days, let's do this again, can we?
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, brother. We're back after this in the Joe Pag Show. Stay here.